Hi friends, welcome to English Study Point. Today in this video lecture I am going to talk about theory of post-colonialism in comparative literature. Post-colonial theory in comparative literature emerged in response to the histories of colonization and imperialism across the globe. So, this particular theory developed in reaction to the legacies of colonization and imperialism worldwide. And this theory examines power dynamics, cultural influences, and societal impacts resulting from colonial histories. And also, at the same time, it focuses on telling about marginalized experiences, sharing their voices, and also how they try to resist the dominant forces and the complexities of post colonial identities. And this theory also tried to deconstruct and challenge dominant narratives while highlighting the diversity of experiences and perspectives shaped by colonial encounters. It seeks to interrogate the legacies of colonialism and examine how they continue to shape literature, culture, and society in post colonial contexts. So, this theory explores how the impact of colonialism are still prevalent in post colonial societies, how these historical legacies influence various aspects of life, such as literature, culture, society, and also it interrogate or by interrogating or communicating with these type of legacies, individuals can better understand and address the ongoing effects of colonialism in a contemporary setting. By centering the experiences and narratives of formerly colonized peoples, post colonialism challenges dominant Western paradigm and offers alternative perspectives on power, identity, and representation. So, this theory focuses on revisiting and re evaluating the impacts of colonialism on formerly colonized societies, and by amplifying the voices or and experiences of so many people. This theory seeks to dismantle and critique the hegemonic Western perspectives that have historically shaped power dynamics and also their identity constructions and representation of non-Western cultures. So, this theory, in a way, offers a kind of critical lens through which we as readers are able to understand and challenge entrenched power structures and narratives, and also it ultimately promotes a more equitable and inclusive world view. Here let's understand definition of post-colonialism. Post-colonial theory in comparative literature is an interdisciplinary field that analyzes the relationships between colonizers and the colonized, as well as the power dynamics and cultural negotiations that occur in post-colonial contexts. It seeks to deconstruct or dismantle colonial ideologies, reclaim marginalized voices and histories. So, it tries to give a kind of opportunity to marginalized voices to speak of their experiences, to share what they have suffered during or at the time of colonialism, and promote a more inclusive and diverse understanding of literature and culture. From this definition, we understand that this sort of theory examines the complex dynamics between colonizers and the colonized, emphasizing power struggles and cultural interactions in post colonial settings. It aims to deconstruct, here means dismantle colonial also, and often in a more simple terms we get to see that it try to negate or dismiss colonial narratives, and also at the same time it uplift marginalized perspectives and foster a richer and more diverse appreciation of literature and culture through interdisciplinary analysis, or it gives voice to so many marginalized sections to come and speak of their experiences. Here, let's understand some characteristics of post colonial theory. This theory examines the ways in which colonial histories have influenced and shaped literary production in post colonial societies. It considers how colonial encounters and power structures are reflected in literature and how authors from colonized backgrounds navigate these legacies. So, this particular theory delves into how colonial pasts have shaped or have impacted literature in post colonial nations. It explores how colonial experiences and power dynamics are mirrored in literary works and how authors from formerly colonized societies address and respond to these historical influences in their writing. Post colonialism explores how colonization has impacted individual and collective identities, leading to questions of hybridity, displacement, cultural negotiation. It considers how literature reflects the complexity of identity formation in the aftermath of colonialism. We infer that this theory is a kind of holds a lasting effect of colonization on both personal and group identities. It examines the blending of cultures, feelings of being uprooted, and the ongoing process of cultural adaptation, and investigates how literature mirrors the intricate complex process of shaping one's identity in the post colonial era. It highlights the struggles and negotiations involved in reclaiming and redefining identities which are already or which are previously shaped by colonial powers. Postcolonial theory interrogates the ways in which language and representation have been used to uphold colonial hierarchies and stereotypes. It investigates how literature and other cultural forms can be employed to challenge and subvert dominant colonial discourses. In this theory, there is a focus on understanding how language, literature, and other forms of representation were used during the colonial period to justify and perpetuate or to continue this colonial power structures and stereotype. And by this theory, by analyzing these discourses, which are operated in colonial times, this theory seeks to uncover and challenge the ways in which colonial narratives have shaped our understanding of the world. It highlights the importance of using literature and other cultural expressions to give voice to marginalized perspectives, resist oppressive ideologies, and reimagine more inclusive and equitable ways of representing the world. So this theory in a way try to deconstruct and challenge colonial legacies in order to create a more just and diverse society. Post-colonialism highlights acts of resistance, resilience, and agency within post-colonial societies as responses to colonial oppression. It celebrates the ways in which literature and culture have been used to assert autonomy and challenge colonial power structures. What we get to know from this sentence is that this theory explores the impact of colonialism on societies and the ways in which individuals and communities navigate and resist these legacies. It emphasizes the importance of recognizing and celebrating the agency and resilience of marginalized groups in the face of colonial oppression. Through literature, culture, and other forms of expression, post-colonial societies assert their autonomy and challenge dominant power structures, and with this they are able to reclaim their identities and shape their narratives on their own terms. Post-colonial theory recognizes the interconnectedness of colonial histories across different regions and cultures, emphasizing the global impacts of colonization. It encourages a transnational understanding of post-colonial literature and culture that transcends national boundaries. So, here this theory in a way underscores how colonial histories have shaped societies worldwide, highlighting at the same time the common experiences and struggles of formerly colonized peoples across diverse regions and cultures. It in a way promotes a broader transnational perspective on post colonial literature and culture, emphasizing the shared narratives of resistance, identity formation, and decolonization that connect individuals and communities beyond national borders. Post-colonialism critically examines how the other has been represented in literature and challenges essentialist and stereotypical portrayals. It seeks to amplify, means it seeks to double marginalized voices and perspectives that have been historically silenced or misrepresented. So, this theory, in a way, scrutinizes the ways in which dominant narratives in literature have shaped representations of the other and often relies on stereotypes and essentialist viewpoints that marginalize and dehumanize certain groups. By examining and challenging these portrayals, post colonialism aims to elevate the voices and perspectives of marginalized communities that have been historically silenced or misrepresented. It seeks to promote a more nuanced and diverse understanding of identity and experience, allowing for a more inclusive and authentic portrayal of individual and cultures outside of traditional power structures. Here we see this theory considers the intersections of race, gender, class, and other identities in shaping experiences of colonization and resistance. It analyzes how power dynamics operate within post colonial societies and impact the production and reception of literature. So, this theory examines how various identities such as race, gender, and class how they intersect to influence the experiences of colonization and efforts of resistance. It delves into power dynamics within post-colonial societies, exploring how these dynamics affect the creation and interpretation of literature. So this approach highlights the complexities of colonial legacies and the ways in which they continue to shape contemporary societies and cultural productions. Post-colonialism explores the concept of cultural hybridity, where different cultural traditions intersect and blend to create new forms of expression. It investigates how literature and culture reflect complex negotiations and syncretic processes that occur in post-colonial contexts. So, this theory delves into the idea of cultural hybridity, which is the blending of different cultural traditions to form new expressions, and it examines how literature and culture mirror the intricate interactions and amalgamation of ideas that take place in post colonial settings. In essence, it focuses on the ways in which diverse cultures intersect and influence each other to create unique and dynamic forms of artistic and cultural representation. Post-colonial theory challenges Western epistemologies and knowledge systems that have historically marginalized non-Western perspectives. It deconstructs Western narratives and promotes a more inclusive and diverse approach to understanding literature and culture. So, this particular line means that this theory, in a way, questions the dominance of Western ways of thinking and understanding that have often excluded non Western viewpoints. So, again, I'm saying that it dismantles, or this theory dismantles, completely denies prevailing Western narratives and advocates for a more inclusive and varied perspective in interpreting literature and culture. And also, it aims to broaden the scope of knowledge by acknowledging and also valuing diverse voices and experiences that have been historically marginalized. Post-colonialism examines the experiences of diasporic communities and migrants who navigate multiple cultural landscapes and histories. It considers how literature and cultural productions reflect the transnational flows of people, ideas, influences shaped by colonial legacies. So, this theory tends to focus on the stories of diasporic communities. So, it is clearly here mentioned, and also it focuses on migrants who transverse various cultural backgrounds and histories. It explores how literature and cultural works mirror the movement of people, concepts and impacts across borders influenced by colonial histories, and it in a way delves into how these transnational dynamics manifest in artistic expressions and cultural representations by shedding light on the complexities of identity and belonging in a post-colonial world. Post-colonial theory critiques the continued influence of neo-colonialism, global capitalism in perpetuating inequalities and dependencies inherited from colonialism. It analyzes how literature engages with contemporary forms of exploitation and resistance in the post-colonial world. Through this sentence, we get to know that such kind of theories examine how the legacy of colonialism continues to shape power dynamics, economic relationships, and cultural norms in post colonial societies. It argues that neocolonialism and global capitalism maintain and exacerbate these inequalities. It means that these things, neo-colonialism and global capitalism, it try to give opportunity to perpetuate inequalities and dependencies, which ultimately leads to ongoing exploitation and resistance. So we get so we as a reader, we are able to infer that this theory, with the help of literature and other cultural forms, seeks to understand how these complex dynamics are represented and at the same time challenged in the contemporary world. Postcolonialism addresses the legacies of trauma and memory resulting from colonial violence and exploitation. It explores how literature and cultural forms can serve as a sites of healing, remembrance, and reconciliation in post colonial societies. So, this theory holds a kind of lasting effect of trauma and memory stemming from the violence and exploitation of colonialism. It investigates how literature and cultural expression can play an important role in the healing process, fostering remembrance and reconciliation within post colonial communities. And by examining these narratives, post-colonialism aims to acknowledge and address the deep wounds left by colonial history while seeking avenues for healing and understanding. Post-colonial theory considers the impact of colonialism on the environment and indigenous lands, examining how literature and culture reflect these ecological injustices. It promotes ecological awareness and resistance against ongoing forms of environmental exploitation in the post-colonial world. So here we see that how this colonialism has negatively impacted the environment and indigenous lands, leading to ecological injustices. This theory brings into limelight, or it emphasizes upon analyzing how literature and culture portray these issues and advocates for raising ecological awareness and resisting current forms of environmental exploitation in former colonies. Postcolonialism intersects with feminist theory to examine the ways in which gender, race, and colonialism intersect in shaping experiences of oppression and resistance. It highlights the contribution of women writers and thinkers from post-colonial contexts in challenging patriarchy and colonial structures. So, post-colonialism as well as feminist theory, in a way, intersect to explore how gender, race, and colonialism combine to influence experiences of oppression and resistance. It emphasizes the role of women writers and thinkers from post colonial settings in challenging both patriarchal and colonial systems by shedding light on their unique perspectives and contributions. In the end, we see that this such theory continues to evolve and expand its discourses to address new challenges, new form of challenges and possibilities in the post-colonial world. It remains a vital framework, or this theory remains an important framework for understanding the complexities of power, representation, and identity in literature and culture within post-colonial contexts. We infer from this sentence that post colonial theory is very dynamic, which adapts to address emerging issues and opportunities in the post colonial world. And also, it serves as a crucial lens for comprehending power dynamics that is being practiced or exercised in different countries, having different cultures across the world, and also make us comprehend representation, how marginalized people, when they are confronting such forms of oppression, how they used to represent themselves. And also we are able to comprehend identities within literature and culture in post-colonial settings, which in a way reflect the ongoing relevance and significance of this theoretical framework called as post-colonial theory. Then with this video lecture ends here. Hope this video lecture will help you in your exams. Thank you.